All right, buckle up, because we're diving into Final 5, this tabletop basketball card game that's got everyone buzzing. You know I love a good board game, and from the looks of these training scripts, card examples, and rulebook highlights, this one's going for the ultimate finals experience, but with way more strategic depth than just chucking dice.
You've got that right. Final 5 really nails the feeling of those final pressure cooker moments of a tied game. But what's fascinating is how it achieves that tension through these really unique mechanics like heat tokens and clutch play, which give players so many ways to outmaneuver their opponents.
Okay, so walk me through the basics. What's the overall flow of the game?
Think of it as a 3-part journey. First, you've got the draft, where you're not just picking players, but potentially outbidding other teams to snag that star rookie. Then it's onto the front office phase, where you're managing your roster, acquiring playbook cards to give you an edge during games, and navigating the unpredictable news cycle cards, which can really shake things up for everyone at the table.
The news cycle cards have me intrigued. Are we talking surprise trades, sudden injuries, things like that?
Exactly. They mirror those real-life curveballs that force teams to adapt and re-strategize. And that's what makes Final 5 so interesting. It's not just about having a killer starting lineup, but also about how you navigate those unexpected twists and turns.
It's interesting. What's captivating about this game is that it's deceptively simple on the surface.
Right.
But it reveals these layers of strategic depth. The more you explore it, it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about mastering the art of the deal, anticipating your opponent's moves.
Yeah.
And making those clutch decisions when the game is on the line. Making those tough calls both on and off the court.
I'm hooked already, and we've got a treasure trove of intel to work with today. Excerpts from the game's training manual, the official marketing materials, a glimpse into the creator's vision from a recent interview.
Oh, wow.
You'll be calling the shots like a seasoned GM in no time.
Yeah, you'll need that insider knowledge because Final 5 casts you as a billionaire donor, backing a team in the high-stakes world of the IBA tournament.
A billionaire donor, now that's a role I could get used to.
Yeah.
But before we start throwing around our IBA notes, let's break down the game's components. What exactly are we dealing with here?
Okay, so think of it as your GM toolkit.
Okay.
You've got decks of cards representing your roster and strategic plays. Then there are chips for tracking heat and defense. Those are going to be your in-game resources.
Okay.
That add another layer of decision-making. And of course, no basketball game would be complete without a scoreboard.
Of course, yeah.
So you've got custom scoreboards to track your progress.
And stacks of IBA notes, because what's a billionaire without a little game day cash to splash around?
Exactly.
Speaking of cash, let's talk about how those IBA notes come into play.
Okay.
Because this isn't just about putting a team on the court, it's about managing your finances like a true business mogul.
Absolutely, yeah. Managing your IBA notes adds this fascinating layer of realism to the game.
Okay.
You'll need those notes to acquire new players, execute strategic moves, and even navigate those unexpected events that can, throw a wrench in your plan.
Yeah.
It really captures the high-stakes world of professional basketball,
Right.
where every decision has financial implications.
It sounds like every choice you make has ripple effects throughout the game.
It does. It really does.
Okay, so let's dive into the heart of the action, building that dream team.
Okay.
What's draft day like in the world of Final 5?
All right, so picture this. You're in the war room.
Okay.
The tension is palpable,
Yeah.
and everybody is vying for the top talent.
Yeah.
It's an auction-style draft where you'll be bidding against your opponents to assemble your starting 5.
Now, I'm assuming there are some big-name pros just waiting to be signed.
Yes,
Do those IBA notes start flying right away?
they certainly can. You'll encounter a mix of established pros at the peak of their careers,
Right.
and those diamond-in-the-rough amateurs bursting with potential. And here's where the creator's vision for this pro-am dynamic really comes into play. A rule that forces you to think beyond star power.
Ooh, I love a good twist.
Yeah.
What's the catch?
You must have at least 2 amateur players on your roster at all times.
Okay.
This means you can't just stack your team with seasoned veterans. You need to find that balance of raw talent and experience.
Now that's what I call a strategic curveball.
Yeah.
Talk about a high-pressure situation.
Exactly. It's a brilliant mechanic that reflects the real-life challenges faced by GMs who are constantly scouting for hidden talent
Yes.
and making those tough decisions about who to invest in.
So you've got your starting 5 assembled,
Okay.
your checkbook ready. And then it's time to head into the front office.
The front office, yes.
Tell me more about this pregame phase. What kind of wheeling and dealing goes on there?
Okay, think of it as the calm before the storm.
All right.
This is where you lay the groundwork for your game strategy, but with a twist.
Okay.
In the front office rounds, each player is dealt 3 cards face up.
Face up, so everyone at the table can see what's in your hand.
Precisely. It's a brilliant design element that injects this layer of open information
Wow.
and strategic maneuvering right from the start. It's not just about what's in your hand,
Right.
but also about what your opponents have and what they might be planning
Okay.
based on the cards they reveal.
Talk about psychological warfare.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of cards are we talking about here? What strategic options do they offer?
So your hand could consist of roster cards, which represent your players and their unique skills. You've also got playbook cards, which provide strategic actions you can use during the game to gain an advantage.
Okay.
And then there are agent cards, which let you scout for new players, adding that layer of roster management we were just talking about.
And those IBA notes are burning a hole in your pocket?
Yeah.
You mentioned unexpected events earlier. Does something shake things up during this pregame phase too?
It certainly can. Final 5 wouldn't be complete without a dose of the unexpected.
Right.
And that's where the news cycle cards come in.
Okay.
These cards introduce elements of shared consequence, simulating the unpredictable nature of a real basketball season.
Okay, so it's not just about you versus your opponent anymore. It's about how these external factors impact the entire league.
Exactly. These cards might affect player stats, introduce new rules, or throw unexpected curveballs that everyone at the table has to navigate.
Wow.
Just like in real basketball, adaptability and strategic flexibility are key. That's what makes it so much more than just a game of numbers and stats. It's about anticipating the unexpected,
Right.
adapting to new situations, and making those tough decisions under pressure.
Just like a real GM in the heat of the moment. Okay, so we've drafted our team,
Right.
managed our front office, and weathered the storm of the news cycle.
Okay.
It's time to hit the court. How does a typical game unfold in Final 5?
So the regular season is all about speed and efficiency. Just like those early games where teams are trying to find their rhythm, secure their playoff spot, it's a quick play format designed to determine playoff seeding.
So even if you're trailing behind in the regular season, all hope isn't lost. There's still a chance to make a championship run.
Absolutely. In fact, the game's creator emphasized that even a 4th seed team can claw their way to the championship if they play their cards right in the playoffs. It all comes down to how well you manage those high-pressure playoff games.
Speaking of pressure, let's break down those regular season games. You mentioned earlier that there's a favorite underdog dynamic. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's a brilliant mechanic that injects a layer of psychological warfare into each matchup. Before the game, you compare your team's stats: 2-point shooting, 3-point shooting, and defense
Okay.
with your opponents. Whoever has the edge in 2 out of 3 categories is designated as the favorite for that game.
So it's like having home court advantage
Exactly.
based on your team's strengths. I can see how that would add a whole other level of strategy to the game.
Exactly. The favorite then secretly chooses their game strategy.
Okay.
Either they'll focus on 2-pointers, 3-pointers, or defense.
Okay.
And the underdog has to guess what that strategy will be.
Oh, man. Talk about a mind game. So if the underdog guesses correctly, the favorite is in a tough spot.
Exactly. They have to roll against their stat for that chosen strategy,
Right?
risking a loss, even though they're the favorite. But if the underdog guesses wrong,
Yeah.
the favorite wins automatically.
That's such a clever way to simulate the unpredictable nature of basketball. You might have the better team on paper,
Right.
but one bad play, one wrong guess, and it could all slip away.
And that's where the strategic depth comes in.
Right.
As the favorite, do you play it safe and stick with your strongest stat, knowing your opponent might guess it?
Right.
Or do you try to outsmart them with a bluff, knowing that if they see through it, you're in trouble?
Those are some tough calls to make. It reminds me of those moments in a basketball game where a coach calls a timeout to draw up a play.
Yeah.
Do they go for the obvious choice?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they try something unexpected and hope it catches the other team off guard?
It's all about reading your opponent, understanding their tendencies, and making that split-second decision that could change the course of the game.
Wow.
And that's just the regular season.
Right.
We haven't even gotten to the playoffs yet,
Right.
where the intensity goes up another level.
Okay, so the regular season is all about building up to those final 5 plays of the game where every decision could make or break your championship dreams.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the playoffs. What makes those games so different?
So, in the playoffs, the game shifts from quick plays to a deeper, more strategic battle.
Okay.
It's no longer about racking up wins as quickly as possible. It's about outmaneuvering your opponent and making those crucial decisions when it matters most.
Because suddenly you're not just managing a roster.
Right.
You're managing a dwindling clock and a whole new set of choices.
Exactly. In the playoffs, each team gets those crucial Final 5 offensive plays.
Okay.
And this is where those playbook cards we talked about earlier become absolutely essential.
So you've held onto those cards.
Yes.
Maybe even strategically grabbed a few more during the front office rounds.
Right.
And now is your chance to unleash them.
Precisely. Things like and one cards, which let you draw a foul after a successful shot. Or cards that boost your defense for a crucial play.
Yeah.
Those could completely change the momentum of the game.
And on the flip side, the D or no D decision-making for the defending player must be nerve-wracking. You've only got 2 defense tokens per game.
Right.
So you can't just play defense on every play.
It's a classic risk-reward scenario.
Yeah.
Do you try to anticipate your opponent's strategy and use those tokens early? Or do you hold back and risk them scoring on those crucial final possessions?
And to make matters even more intense, the creator actually pointed out how important it is to have a balanced roster in the playoffs.
Yes.
Like if you're too predictable on offense,
Yes.
your opponent is going to shut you down.
Absolutely. It's like they say in basketball, you can't win a championship with just one player. You need a team that can adapt to different situations.
Right.
Exploit weaknesses.
Right.
Rise to the occasion when the pressure is on.
Which makes those clutch players even more valuable.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, imagine having a player who can quadruple one of their stats for a single play.
Right.
That could be a game changer.
They absolutely are. It's like having that go-to player.
Yeah.
The one you can rely on when you need a basket the most. And you get to choose which stat gets that massive boost.
Oh, wow.
So if you got a weak defense, but your clutch player has a killer defense rating,
Right.
you can suddenly become an impenetrable wall for that one crucial play.
That's incredible. It's like those moments in real basketball where a player just catches fire and like single-handedly wins the game for their team.
Yeah.
You can almost feel the energy shift in the arena when that happens.
Exactly. And Final 5 captures that same level of excitement
Right.
and unpredictability in a tabletop game.
Yeah.
It's about those moments of brilliance, those clutch plays that leave you on the edge of your seat.
And then there's the heat tokens,
Right.
which add a whole other layer of strategy.
Yes.
I love how they can turn a near miss into a game-winning shot, adding that extra element of suspense.
It's all about resource management. With 6 heat tokens per game,
Right.
you've got to decide when to use them strategically. Do you burn them early to try to build a lead?
Right.
Or do you save them for those clutch moments when you absolutely need a basket?
It's like those last few minutes of a tied game where every possession feels like it could go either way.
Yeah.
Your heart's racing. And you just need one shot to one play to go your way.
And those moments when you're down to your last couple heat tokens
Right.
and the game is on the line, that's where Final 5 really shines. You can feel the tension in the air
Right.
as you weigh your options, knowing that one decision could make all the difference.
So we've got these nail-biting playoff games where every possession, every card played feels like it could tip the scales, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it all comes down to one thing: winning the championship.
Right.
What does that final showdown look like?
Okay.
Is it a winner-takes-all showdown, or is there a little more room to breathe?
Thankfully, it's not a single game, where one lucky roll could make or break your entire season.
Right, okay.
Remember how we talked about the regular season being a sprint?
Right.
Well, the playoffs are more of a marathon.
I'm liking the sound of this already.
Yeah.
A little less pressure, a little more room for strategic maneuvering.
Exactly. Each playoff series is a best-of-3 affair,
Okay.
giving teams a chance to adapt
Right.
and recover, even if they have one bad game.
That makes a lot of sense. It adds a layer of strategic depth. You can afford to take a risk or two,
Right.
knowing you have another game to make up for it.
Precisely. And it aligns with what the game's creator emphasized. Final 5 isn't just about luck.
Right.
While those dice rolls certainly add to the excitement,
Yes.
it's the strategy, the planning,
Right.
and the ability to adapt that ultimately determine the winner.
It's like those teams that consistently make it to the finals year after year.
Right.
It's not just a fluke, it's about building a winning culture, making smart draft picks,
Yes.
and having that deep understanding of the game.
And that's what makes Final 5 so captivating.
Right.
It's a game that rewards both strategic thinking
Yeah.
and a bit of daring, just like the sport of basketball itself.
You know, as we've been talking about this game, I keep coming back to the pro-am dynamic.
Yeah.
It's such a unique element that you don't often see in sports games.
Right.
And it really adds a layer of depth to the decision-making process.
It's brilliant. It forces you to think beyond the big names and the star power.
Yeah.
And consider the potential of those less heralded players.
Because in the world of basketball, some of the greatest stories are about those diamond-in-the-rough players who defied expectations.
Right.
And became legends.
Exactly. And Final 5 gives you the opportunity to write those stories yourself. And that's what makes Final 5 so much more than just a game. It's a reflection of the real world of basketball,
Right.
where passion, perseverance, and a little bit of luck can take you all the way to the top.
Well said. As we wrap up our deep dive into Final 5, I have to say, this game has really captured my imagination.
It's a good one.
It's got all the elements I look for: strategic depth, exciting gameplay, and that unique thematic element that sets it apart from the crowd.
Definitely.
And let's not forget the thrill of those clutch moments.
Oh, yeah.
Those game-changing plays that leave you on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely. For anyone listening who's ever dreamed of owning a basketball team, calling the shots, and experiencing those highs and lows of a season,
Right.
I think Final 5 is definitely worth checking out.
I think so too.
It's a game that will challenge your strategic mind, test your risk-taking abilities,
Right.
and leave you wanting to play just one more game.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the captivating world of Final 5. Until next time, keep your heads in the game
Yes.
and your strategy sharp. This is The Deep Dive. Signing off.
I'll be a boss now. Them pretenders just boss babies. You the